It is another episode of the Growth Show with Keishel and Dr. Glenn. Glenn, how you feeling?
Wow, I'm excited.
This is the final episode of season 1.
Wow.
How you feel about that?
Wow, I feel like we've been doing this for a while. Like we've been doing this for the last 5 years.
Oh no, it's
and
not been
finally
5
coming
years.
to an end for season 1.
You remember when we started? We started on our anniversary,
Yes.
our 9th year anniversary.
3 months
February
ago.
15th, so it'll be roughly 3 months of shooting, coming together just about every Monday, just producing this content, arguing of which content to go on to deal with. Agreeing, disagreeing. What's your thoughts? I mean, we started this out of just inspiration.
Yeah.
And now looking back at the progress we've made, at the growth we've had, at the impact that we've had, it's been a journey. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
I think I've been stretched.
How so?
Because I am scripted but not scripted. So I have to do a lot of preparation before I do a presentation, I get into anything. And so this has pulled me out of my comfort zone. So a lot of the times we hear some of the information is organic. I didn't have time to prepare a script. And so to see me coming from being scripted to be able to just free flow and share my truth, that's a level of growth for me.
I think for me, the level of growth came from, of course, the consistency of doing this, and every week you have to prepare. My brain always is going, and so being able to now add this additional element to, okay, what are we doing this week? What's the plan? What's this? And being prepared.
Yes.
That's where my growth is, because generally I'm the opposite of Glenn, obviously. And so I'm more organic. I'm more, okay, let's just go with the flow.
And y'all, that ain't gonna work for me. The two of us can't just be organic and go with the flow. It'd be a hot mess.
So he would know 2 days what we doing. And I'm
What's
like,
the plan?
by the time it's been ready, we'll know. And so I think that growth has been important for me as well, to think ahead on a lot of cases. I'm putting this in as a priority, and so I love what we've done so far. And we've hit again our for the first season a goal of 100, more than 100 now.
More than 100.
So that's exciting as well.
Yes. Yes, and then a lot of the feedback from the audience. I get a lot of messages, get a lot of feedback, got some suggestions what we can do differently.
Yeah.
And so all of that is a part of the growth.
Yeah. And so let's take a minute, just briefly, very briefly, just to kind of talk about or highlight the episodes, right? So again, after the episodes, I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's put on. So sometimes it's easy to forget, easy to remember. And so, February 15th, we introduced the Grow Show. Then we went into Growing Through Adversity, where we talked about just how the adversity we went through that led to us starting this journey eventually. Then we looked at from personal attacks to pursuing personal growth.
Yeah.
I'll come back to that episode, but that was definitely a hard episode.
Why are you coming back? You mentioned it, say it now.
I think that was one of my favorite.
Yeah?
I wouldn't call it favorite, but it was definitely when you started to throw me under the bus.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, it's a common thing now.
And you know why I do that? To bring you out of your comfort zone into an element of just owning and speaking truth, your truth, rather.
Yeah, and so that definitely was the episode that, we got a lot of comments around Keisha cusses or cries, which is true. I still do.
You have done a little bit better on the cussing part.
I've done a lot better.
A lot, sorry, not a little, a lot better. You've gotten saved over the last.
I've quieted down.
Yeah.
When I need to, So definitely that was an episode that.
Yeah, and you haven't also cried either.
No.
Yeah, not. Yeah. All right.
So that's a form of growth.
That's growing. Yes.
The episode 4 was She Earns More. Does that make her a leader in the home? Another hot episode. We got quite a bit of comments.
That was one of the hot topic episodes. Yeah.
We'll come back to some of the comments, but definitely that was one. And then this one was a leadership show, what not to do as a leader, right? One of I always call a leadership shows Glenn shows because, he's 10 times more passionate about leadership. And so I always, that was your show. And then we followed that up with actions leaders must take to succeed. Because again, it really ties to growth. A big part of growth is leadership, being able to lead. Definitely. The 7th episode was one of my favorites, and it was, is it time to ditch the degree?
And
Another
why was that your favorite?
Because again, we talked about, it was controversial. We didn't agree per se in that episode.
We agreed. We agreed
after some debate.
Yeah, there are options and...
After some debate, you still don't believe that, I can't remember what the debate was, but...
I don't agree that you don't need a degree.
You don't need a degree.
In order to be successful. I think we agreed on that. You don't need a degree to be successful because there are different options. But you cannot discount a degree because in some arena, it opens doors.
It does open doors. Yeah. So that was another hot topic that I think got some of the most views.
Yeah.
And so, interesting. When I looked at the ratings, the show that got the most views out of the top was episode number 8.
Okay.
Which was The Price of Progress. Are you investing enough in yourself?
Wow.
That was interestingly the most popular show.
I wouldn't expect that one
this season. Yeah, and we talked about just what it costs.
Yeah.
What it costs to progress, the financial costs as well as just the mental, emotional, physical time costs. One of my favorite shows as well because people look at life again and say, oh, you're successful, you've done this, and then you forget or don't realize that there's some costs involved. Episode 9 was Who Was Responsible? I think this was one of your favorite shows. Where we looked at the myths. And you told the people, remember what you told the people?
Tell me
and I got some good comments as well. If you get a flat tire, don't call Keisha.
Oh man.
Yes,
people
remember that. People remember
I got a flat tire? That's it?
That's what people remembered. People commented on that. Okay. And that brought up a lot of debate as well. Relationship Q&A was episode number 10. Leadership Lessons was episode number 11, and then episode 12.
Relationship Q&A is the one that you was nervous on.
I was nervous.
I don't know.
And I'll tell you why. Because there's certain topics I can speak very freely on. You give me a business topic, I'm ready. I could close my eyes.
And the topics weren't scripted, and so you had to think about it.
You give me a life-related topic or a learning topic, I could talk from the top of my head. Relationship topics, while of course we active in marriage ministry, it's still something that I want to prepare for. Because, giving relationship advice,
I don't know if we're giving advice. I think we're just sharing our stories.
Yeah.
And so
I was a little tense on that show.
I'm quite the opposite because I'm sharing my story and I'm sharing my truth. There's no right or wrong way to that.
Right.
So for me, this is my lived experience I'm sharing. So somebody can't tell me it's right or it's wrong.
Yeah.
It may not apply to them.
I guess it was new to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, you give me a topic on business or just life in general and growth. That's something that I do all day, every day. So it's normal. Having conversations on relationship in a format like this, unprepared, unscripted, I was like, geez, this is no.
You did well.
This is not my grade.
Well.
But, it definitely was a stretching one. It's definitely a stretching episode for me. And so, we had some really interesting episodes. And then we had a lot of you who really made time to view.
Yes.
Comment. Any comments that you got from
I have had persons who viewed and didn't subscribe. Because persons spoke to me and they said, you know what, I viewed it, but I didn't subscribe. And they probably won't subscribe, but they'll still view.
Yeah. And, I want to highlight a couple of comments. Charmaine says, Keisha, look like Glenn, do you like that?
Like what?
Say you had to pipe down 10 notches. I remember that
10.
episode. But you only
Literally.
had to pipe down by 2, which was never true. 2. That was not true, y'all.
That's true.
That was not true.
It is true.
You switched it.
No.
You flipped it.
It is true.
You're the one who have to pipe down 10 episodes.
It is true.
10
we don't get into debate on that one. It just ain't a good look for you, so you don't want to own that one.
No, it's not. It's not
okay,
true.
let me compromise. Both of us have to pipe down 10 notches. How about
I
that?
can live with that.
Good.
I can live with that. And then we had another comment. Definitely the comment of cussing and crying came up. Someone said, Nicole D said, cussing and crying, interesting. I guess those two extremes.
Lord, the Saints cussing now? Oh my God.
Kenny has said, to find a man who is not emasculated by a woman with more earning potential is rare, but I know it's out there. So again, that come in those conversations.
And it is more common than you think. It's just like people don't share it and don't talk about it. And some women may not even want to talk about it because they don't want to feel like they're disrespecting their significant other.
Right, yeah. Tossie said Dr. Glenn speaks of being a good supporter, but it's really taking the initiative to assist and support that signaled to assist and support, which signal to your mentors that you had leadership potential. So I was talking about your
I said I never went after leadership roles, but it always come to me because I support a lot.
Yeah, and there's so many more comments. The last one that was really resonant for me was one of our later episodes, Shanique Roll, where she really got, and I'm paraphrasing now because she has lots of comments. She really got the motivation. She said to leave her job. She said I spoke to her because she recognized that she was not getting what she needed from that job, and so it motivated her to really do something that she felt empowered and fulfilled by. And so that was really memorable for me too.
One of the comments from somebody that inboxed me, they didn't put it on social media. We were talking about in terms of relationship and living in a new era and all that stuff. And the person was like, this is a part of the problem now. Y'all want to get in a new era and forgetting the old way of doing it and the original foundation. And so we never talked about it on the show, but my response to him was, if you're growing, you have to grow in all areas. What worked for my mommy and my daddy and my Grammy and them ain't gonna work for me. It's not gonna work for me. Different time.
And that's an interesting argument that we perhaps could look at, discuss a little later on another season, another episode.
And it's not even matter of right or wrong, because they did the best with what they had at the time. Like I said, I saw my dad work 2 jobs and tell mommy, stop working to take care of the kids. When I meet you, you're a woman who want to work, and I would not want to take that privilege from you or that opportunity for you to develop and grow by telling you to stay home and not work when you have so much to offer to society.
And goes back to the point we've always made, which was every relationship is different. Because some women want to be told not to work now.
I know a couple right now. I ain't gonna call no name because I could get in problems. I could get my peoples in problems.
Or their husband to say don't work. Child,
like today, if a particular person I know go home and say to his wife, honey, stop working today, she'll be like, thank you, Jesus. So but some women are waiting for that.
Here's the interesting piece. I think, and this is something that I've been really pondering a lot recently, and that is we have to be careful what we ask for. Because not working the traditional rules and being home. Then when you're there, that brings up a whole
and then it's more expectations. If you're not working, what it is that you're doing. And then if kids are in the picture, you would still have to. You're not required to do more. And so, but anyway, that's another show. That's the next season. We can talk about stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home moms or wives versus stay-at-home dads. We can have a whole show on that.
That's a whole lot.
All right. So let's get into some of what we would have.
What were some of your favorites?
So my favorite highlights would still be, and this is from my quote from Dr. Miles. Love alone will not make the marriage work. it takes knowledge.
Yeah.
And so that resonates with me and it always stay with me. You know, and in terms of the show, got a lot of comments from that. Because you could love somebody and it doesn't mean that it's going to work. You would be sweetly saved.
Right.
Like we said in marriage ministry the other night.
Yeah.
You could be saved. You could be successful. You could be smart. And that doesn't mean your marriage is not going to have issues. But once you have that knowledge of what's going on, how can I help to resolve these issues, that stood out for me.
Yeah. I love that. And that got a lot of insight and comments and reviews as well. For me, the whole message around doing what you need to do to progress was one of my favorite highlights and topics, because we sometimes again put progress in these traditional boxes of you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do the other. And progress is, are you taking actions to move yourself forward, whatever that looks like to you. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I know I shared the amount of money that was invested, but it's really investing at the place where you're at, and then also pushing yourself forward. That
when
was
you
one
talk
of my
about
favorites.
progress, be specific. Progress in what area? Because we talk about,
You know, for me, I always talk about progress in my career, and that's where I've gotten a lot of insight or experience to share. But progress doesn't have to be in your career. Progress could be in your marriage. Progress could be in your business career. To me, that kind of all work in one bowl for me, because my business has always been connected to my career. They're not separate. But progress in your spiritual life, however the areas that you want to progress, you have to be willing to pay the price. And that's pretty much what the message was. Because we want to grow, but we don't recognize that it calls for paying the price.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that you had mentioned a lot of times we want these perfect relationship or these effective relationship that work. And we're not putting in the necessary development and the necessary resources in it for it to grow. So you put resources in your education, in the job, in the business, because in order for the business to grow, you got to keep spending and replenishing. But you have to do the same thing with your relationship. In terms of you have to invest in resources, you have to invest time, you have to invest money. And so all of these things are part of the growth of the relationship.
And in a lot of cases, you cannot do it alone. That is really the message. We have to rely on sources, resources, individuals who are, and they don't even have to be full experts, but who are ahead of the game, who are constantly learning, who is constantly growing, so that you have another resource to tap into.
So we are a part of the is it Gottman Institute, and that's a couple who talk about marriage and relationship, and they have been together for years, and so they share a lot, they teach a lot, they provide a lot of resources. And so with us, we take on that same stance. We get to learn a lot, and we pull resources into it for us to grow the marriage. Because trust me, if it wasn't for resources, a lot of times we wouldn't get past a lot of our differences. So we have resources that we can pull. And especially for us in the church who save and sanctify, the Bible alone ain't gonna do it. I promise you that. The Bible alone is not going to do it. Being filled with the Holy Spirit alone is not going to do it. Being saved alone is not going to do it. God give us that ability to get that knowledge so we can grow that relationship.
I smile because there's something that I want to say, which we hadn't talked about in previous episodes, but it definitely must come up in future episodes.
Is it a throwing me under the bus or throwing me under the bus?
No, it's
because if you want, don't feel afraid to throw me under the bus. I built for bus. I bus ready. But let's no, I'm built. Once it is the truth, I'm here.
No, it has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with the bus, but it's definitely a topic for another season. I'll keep that. And as we're talking about finding resources or finding ways to grow, I really want to take this opportunity as we close out the season to invite you, if you have any areas that you want to grow in, lovebirds in your relationship, we have resources, we have mechanisms that we can support you in. As it relates to leadership, Glenn and I, we serve under the Training Authority. And, one of the things that we do is leadership training, team coaching, consulting, business coaching, anything along the lines of growing. From a workshop standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, reach out, consulting standpoint, reach out to us. And then if you want to just grow in your life, if you are struggling with an area that you feel unfulfilled in, or you feel stuck in, reach out to us because, we are talking on this podcast and we aim to create these 3 areas or these 3 categories of people: leadership, legacy leaders, lifelong learners, lovebirds. And so if you resonate with anything that we've said, or you connect to one of those categories, and you have a question or want some support, we have services that can support you in those. Yeah. Anything you want to add there?
And don't be afraid to invest in you.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to invest in you. Sometimes we always think investment means money. And even if it does mean money, don't be offended if you reach out to someone and they say you'll have to pay for further.
Absolutely.
You know how much money we spend on, we got some free stuff. Yeah, we did get some free stuff, but you still have to spend in order to get to a next level.
Yeah. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, and people spend years and time and money to build what it is that they build to offer. And so we've had to invest in order for us to
And listen,
grow.
Invest. You have a conversation. So if you feel that you need the help or the support, again, it could be in any of the topics that we shared. Reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. And one way to reach out to us is to go to thegrowshow.co, not .com, thegrowshow.co. And it lists the ways that we can work together, that we can support you in your journey of growth as well.
And there are resources, free resources also that we can also direct you to if you're not willing to invest.
Yeah. And it's a part of why we started this podcast. We want to help you to grow. There's not everything that we can say on these episodes.
Yes.
There's never enough time to dive into the topics. And we always talk about that because I would say, man, listen, if we had more time, we could really dive deeper into it.
And then some things is, while you may share some information in an open forum, you get more intimate, more meaningful information in a closed forum.
Yeah.
Because not everything is going to be said out into an open field.
Yeah. So thegrowshow.co, if you want to work with us in any way, please reach out to us so we can have a conversation. And as we begin to wrap this season.
Wow.
What's coming up for next week? Not next week.
Can't believe it's a whole season.
Next season is not next week.
Next season, boy. We have to get there when we get there. Next season, we probably want to have some guests on the show. I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't want to overcompensate. So stay tuned for next season, and we will. And
if there's any topic that you want us to dive deeper onto, if there are any guests that you want to learn from, we're excited to see what next season will bring.
And send the topics, and if there are any guests who wants to come and partner with us, let us know. We can't guarantee that we're going to partner with everybody because we have to make sure it's a fit and all that good stuff. Absolutely. But if you want to partner with us, send us a note and we'll talk about how this can happen.
thegrowshow.co, you can do all of that there. But I'm looking forward to next season. We may be taking it on the road. Who knows?
Who knows? Netflix may pick us up. Who knows? So in the meantime, let us
grow and go.
Grow and go.
See you later.
Take care, y'all.